Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another episode, another review of Sistas. We're on season 8, episode 19. We're at I think we got one more episode and the season is over, so we are wrapping up some storylines in preparation for next season, I'm sure. Either way, the title of this week's episode is Knuckin' and Buckin', and we are all ready to fight, and I am glad about it. Either way, we're going to start off with Fatima. She's over at Hayden's house. Her and Tamara are talking, and Fatima's over at Hayden's house. Hayden is gone to do whatever he's doing, and so Tamara and Fatima are having this conversation. And Tamara seems to think that Fatima is salty because they were working together to get some vengeance against Hayden, and it turns out that Tamara actually fell in love, or whatever. And she thinks that Fatima is salty because she's still hanging around even after the vendetta is over, so to speak. And so Fatima is like, girl, of all things for me to be jealous of, you're not going to be one of them. And so she's like, no, actually why I'm here is to give you a chance to come clean about you and Hayden's motives for Gary. Like, go ahead and come clean, go ahead and fess up so we can go ahead and get the investigators off of our trail and we can get you guys underway. And she tells Tamara, like, hey, I know you and Hayden have motive, and of course she's sitting there trying to deny. And Fatima shows her the video of her and Gary kind of getting down to grown folks' business, and Tamara decides that the best option for her to do is to lunge at Fatima in order to try to retrieve the footage from her as if there is not a copy somewhere. And Fatima, basically they get the slap box and they fighting over the phone, and Fatima reigns supreme in this fight. And so they're fighting over the phone, however the scuffle's over. But that little scuffle, that little punch to the face wasn't enough to get Tamara to talk. She's still stalling. She's still not giving up no information. If there is any information to give, let's preface with that. Either way, so Fatima decides, okay, you don't want to talk, I got you. She calls Madam. Of course, Madam is her cousin that owns the Gentleman's Club / mob boss type lady from another Tyler Perry series entitled All the Queen's Men. Either way, she calls her and she's like, hey, you know Tamara, right? Yeah, that Tamara. We trying to get her to give us some information and she not talking. And so Fatima puts her on the phone with Madam, and she tells Madam, she's like, girl, I ain't scared of you or your cousin. Do what you got to do. And, of course, she'll regret those words by the end of the episode. Either way, she's not budging, and so this was a failed mission, and you've scuffed up your manicure for no reason. But here we are. This is what we're dealing with. Either way, Andy gets home from meeting with Jordan, and, of course, she's upset and sad that has ended because she really liked Jordan. And she sees Danny at her house. Danny has helped herself, and she then came in and got comfortable. And she tells Andy, like, hey, I need some legal advice because I'm about 2 seconds from burning down the airport, and I need to know what the legal ramifications are. And so she has to tell Andy the whole thing about what happened with the guy at work and the iced coffee and blah, 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 and the fact that she feels like Tony fired her and he didn't stand up for her, blah, 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 blah. Even though I can't see I agree, that's that little separation, which is why you shouldn't be where you eat at, hence dating people that you work with, because it can get convoluted when it's time for professionalism to take place. Relationship over professionalship, so to speak, could be a conflict. So just for the people that like to, fool around with their coworkers. Either way, but before we can come up with a solution for Danny, she notices that Andy has been crying, and Andy does confirm to Danny, like, hey, yeah, me and Jordan, we're done for sure this time. There's no coming back from this. And she's just sad, and she's kind of mourning the fact that he never had a fair shot at, giving this thing. This relationship never had a fair chance. It was created in the midst of turmoil, and it just is unfair. And there was so much damage that had been done early on that it's really not a way to undo it. And we know that right person, wrong time, essentially. And so Andy agrees, like, hey, girl, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna get us back on track or whatever. I'm gonna help you get your job back. But first, let me get mine back. I'm gonna get mine back, and then I'm gonna help you. So, first things first. Let me put me first, Lucius. And that's what Andy's gonna do. All right. So Karen's mama comes to her apartment, and she sees her and Aaron all cuddled up, child, and they playing real coy, like, oh my God, what you doing in here, blah, blah, blah. And Mama's like, girl, Aaron, I told you to make sure she was comfortable. He's like, well, she looked comfortable to me. And Mama's like, get out. I talk to my daughter, please. Don't piss me off. Anyway, she puts Aaron out so she could talk to Karen. And Karen is on cloud 9, child. There's nothing in her eyes but hearts and stars. And She don't care nothing about what her mama is talking about. And so her mama is worried that this just might be the pregnancy hormones, you know, getting her going or whatever. And I would agree with mama, because the switch just happened so quickly, or the fact that she realizes like her and Fatima, you know, they have this little peace treaty going on. That means Zach is not going to be available. We know that Zach has 100% moved on. So now she feels like this is her opportunity to move on. Is giving that. Either way, Karen's mom reminds her that this isn't just about her anymore, and she needs to be careful about making this emotional decision. And Karen's like, okay, mama, I understand. I know it's not about just me anymore, but I don't think she really understands. So here we are. We'll deal with it. We'll see what comes of it. Danny and Tony are sitting there talking, and he's there yet again to remind her of how wrong he thinks she was about the coffee situation. And then she reminds him like, hey, I know I had a responsibility. I know I have a role in this thing, but let's remind you of your role as well. We are in this, and I became a target to these coworkers because of you enrolling me in this program against my will. You didn't even listen to me when I told you I did not want to be a part of this program. You kind of wielded your power as my boyfriend, as a VP in the company. You yielded that power to get me in the program after the deadline. So of course there's a target in my back with people within the company. And then he's like, well, you know, it's just like you to not take accountability. Here we go again. Excuse me, I got hiccups. Here we go again with you not taking accountability. They're going back and forth, and nobody's budging. And she tells him like, hey, he's like, I'll come back when, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and leave, and I'm going to come back when you feel better. And she's like, no. How about you not come back at all? I think we need to take some space. We need to take some time. This ain't really working. It's messing with my mental health, and I'm working very hard to keep that intact. So let's just take a break. Let's take a break. Maybe you should go to Italy with your baby mama. She didn't say that, but I'm just feeling that in. But let's take a little break. Let's take a little break. It ain't working, so this ain't that. And so this might be the end of Danny and Tony. So wrap that up very nice. Okay, after Miss Hayden has given Miss Willis the best that he has got, right? He asked her, early in the episode, he asked her for a favor. He was like, yeah, you know Judge Swin, right? She was like, yeah, what about it? Yeah, he is the judge that signed off on the power of attorney that Hudson has over Gary. Well, I need to help my boy Gary out and get that rescinded. And she's like, well, why you got such a vested interest? And he like, you know, don't worry about that. Don't even worry about it. Either way, after all that stuff is over, you know, him servicing her, I'm about to throw up just thinking about it. Either way, after the services have been rendered, Miss Willis gets up immediately and she calls Judge Swin. And she was like, hey, how you doing, Judge? How you feeling? Yeah, I'm going to host you and the family on the yacht very soon. You know, it's going to be good to see y'all. Whatever. So let's get down to business. A little birdie told me that there is a power of attorney that you signed off on for Gary Borders, and I just wanted to call you to ensure that that's going to stay in place. I need that to stay intact. I'm not really sure what her vested interest is in that staying intact. I know she probably hates Gary as much as everybody else because he is a wasted investment. But I don't know. We don't know her plans yet. But what we do know is that Hayden has been used and abused, and he's not going to get exactly what he wants. He thought he had enough power to get her to do something, and she did the exact opposite. She was like, girl, sorry, Hayden, but this is going to benefit me more than it's going to benefit you. So the power of attorney is still intact. So I don't know what that means for Gary, because I don't know. Hudson is giving, you know, second runner up when it comes to somebody that tried to take him out of there. I don't know. My money's still on Robin. I don't know why. We only got about a few more days to figure it out, hopefully, because I don't want to do this next season, Mr. Perry. I promise you I don't. All right. Rich and Sabrina are having dinner, and she tells him, like, hey, hear me out. Don't cut me off. Let me finish what I'm saying. The demonic thing that you walked into was absolutely innocent, and you have embarrassed me yet again. You continue to embarrass me. You continue to let your rage get the best of you, and I'm over it. And she was like, listen, you need to keep in mind that Damani is a coworker. He works for my company. And that kind of behavior, it puts me in a bad light. Like, everything was innocent. You had been ignoring my calls. You hadn't been answering. So I didn't even expect you to show up. So, of course, that's not that wasn't anything deliberate to piss you off because I didn't know you were going to show up. Either way, I need you to know it was embarrassing and don't do it again. And he admits his part and he apologizes yet again. It's the constant having to apologize for the same thing. Apologies are cool, but having to apologize for the same thing means you've learned nothing, in my opinion. Either way, he starts to pour out his heart, and because now he's desperate to have a family. He never knew he wanted a family until he met Sabrina. He wants to do this thing. He don't care about the donation. You know, he don't care about the sperm bank. We can do the traditional route. And she reminds him like, hey, calm down, killer. We've already past the point of a return. I've already invested so much time and energy and money into this IVF journey. I'm not gonna throw it all away. And she also lets him know like, hey, I'm afraid that you're going to change your mind about being with me, about being this kid's father, about all of these things that are my goals. These are my goals in life, not yours. These are only recent goals of yours, and I don't want your mind to change as it has changed multiple times throughout this process, which is a reasonable assumption, right? And she was like, especially not for something that is this important to me. And I'm glad she said that, because while this is important to Rich right now, it's been important to Sabrina for a much longer period of time. So I'm glad she's not allowing his recent passion for this thing deter her lifelong passion, if we're clear. And it seems like the girls are kind of taking in what Miss Willis had to say to them and kind of applying it in their own little ways. Either way, she tells him that, listen, while I appreciate your efforts, it's a little bit too late. It's too late. She tells him like, hey, I've already made the choice, and I called the clinic to use Damani's donation, so to speak. And she told him like, hey, I'm betting on myself for once. I'm taking this opportunity to put myself first. This is what I've decided to do. Hate that for you. Sorry you got to go through this. So of course Rich is back in his feelings again and storms away from the dinner table, and hopefully this is the end of Sabrina and Rich. So these relationships are just falling apart one by one. Of course, Andy and Jordan were done last episode, so we don't have anybody left, do we? Danny and Tony are pretty much done. Sabrina and Rich are done. Jordan and Andy are done. We got Karen and Aaron. They've reconnected and rekindled. So Karen might be the only one walking away from the season with a man. And I just think he's second runner-up. That's just me. Either way, Danny is telling Tony, they're still talking, and she's like, give her key back. And then he tells her don't contact her. He feels like she's stringing him along. Blah, 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 blah. Like I already said, that is the end of that saga. Hopefully. What I think is he's probably going to end up back in Italy with his baby mama, because she was always waiting in the wings anyway, but that's just my guess. Okay. Fatima and Andy, they show up to this impromptu board meeting. One of the girls at the office, let's just assume it's the receptionist, she calls and she's like, girl, they having a meeting. They having an impromptu meeting. And I guess they already knew, like, hey, Robin has done this before. He's going to call another impromptu meeting, and I'm not going to be made aware. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do what Miss Willis said, and I'm going to stake my claim. I'm going to go get what I've rightfully earned. So they show up dressed in all black like the Omen. They're going to crash this meeting because you will not keep playing with me in my absence. So Fatima goes to her office and she grabs her bat, and her and Andy, we're going to storm the Capitol. That's what we doing. Here comes Robin running out of the meeting to run interference, and they're like, no, sir, it's not happening this time. Just go ahead about your business. I need to do what I need to do. And so the ladies storm right on in the meeting like they were doing. Now, everybody's looking all scared and intimidated because, ooh, big scary black women with a bat, blah, blah, blah. And so she's there to tell them about everything, to talk to them about the offer that they rescinded without any merit, without any evidence, and the effect that it could have on the company. And so she has a portfolio with all these different letters from clients and judges and all these different colleagues and supporters and her clients. I already said that. Letting them know that, hey, her clients have been made aware that y'all have released her from her position unwarranted, and that they're upset that she's been released while they are still benefiting from her efforts. For example, she's been released and y'all are still managing their funds, even though she's on, because they want her to manage their funds. And then Miss Willis comes walking in and she tells them like, hey, the girl asked for her stuff back. Everything that was previously promised to her, and if it's not given to her, I'm gonna walk, and I'm gonna walk when she walks. And she was like, And Andy's like, hey, either you reinstate me, and Fatima's like, immediately. Effective immediately. Thank you, girl. And make good on your promises, make good on your word, or I walk with all the clients, not to include but not limited to Miss Marie, and I'll take all of that with me. It's a good starter for my own company. So what y'all trying to do? So now they got to hold a vote. Immediately they hold a vote, and the vote is unanimous for her to return with her promised position. And Robin also voted as well. He voted yay. Again, unanimous. Every single person in the room agreed. You know, everybody's present and accounted for. And Andy has reclaimed what was promised to her. So much power. Okay. We see Robin after the meeting, and he rolls up on Andy, talking about how he is so impressed with her and how she persevered despite everything she was up against, and she proved herself. And she was like, hey, don't want to hear it, because don't think that I've proved myself to you by some merit that you've decided. No. What I've simply done is beat you at your game, because you wanted to kind of push me out quietly for whatever reasons, and I've beat you to the punch. So I don't need your congratulations. And he seems to think, so after all of that, the lady did all she did to prove her worth and to get back what she was owed. And he seems to think all of this means that she's pushing him away so that they don't have to be in a relationship. She can't stand the thought of being in a relationship with him. She can't control herself. Let's just make it plain. She can't stand the thought of being unable to be in a relationship with him. So she's pushing him out by way of pushing him out the company. And Andy's like, no, this don't got nothing to do with me and you. It ain't no me and you at this point. Again, I came back to get what I want. It's just like a man to think something is so deeply invested about them that she would go through all of this to appease you. Okay, Robin, whatever. Either way, Andy reminds him that it is not, and you can go ahead and go about your business and leave me alone. So hopefully he whisks himself back off to Europe, or, you know, go ahead and do that prison time for stabbing Gary or whatever. We'll see. Okay, Jordan goes to see Gary in the hospital. He must be real pissed. Like, he done lost Andy. His sister has lost so much. He just can't stand the thought of it. He knows that Gary is alive, and he has to see for himself. He needs to put eyes on him and confirm that, hey, yeah, the bastard's still alive. And so he is not buying the memory loss crap. He's not with it. But Jordan tells Gary, like, hey, you don't remember my sister? How you gonna remember my sister? How you gonna remember Andy, but you don't remember my sister? And so Gary's like, yeah, of course I remember Andy. She's the love of my life. But do I know you? And he's like, yeah, Penelope's my sister. And he was like, yeah, that crazy lady's your sister. And so he's just outdone. He's like, no, you killed my sister, baby, and me and my sister were pawns in your game. And like, he is emotionally unhinged, so much so that he starts choking the shit out of Gary. He starts choking the hell out of him, and I was so excited for him to end him, but I doubt that it'll happen. I got too much hope. Don't do it, Jordan. You're a good fella. Don't do it, but I mean, do us a favor if you want. Anyway, that is what is happening. So Jordan is becoming unhinged because so much loss has happened, and Gary's kind of coming out pretty much, I won't say unscathed, but a little less scathed than he should be. All right. Hayden and Tamara, they're sitting down replaying their day because Tamara's got her busted lip and he's concerned about what has happened. But before we can get too deep in it, there's some masked men that come in and start beating the living daylights out of both of them. And you know, they getting their ass whooped from here to Timbuktu. And as one of the men leave, they tell him like, hey, you better watch your mouth next time. So of course we're to assume that these goons are there from Madam, for Tamara talking to her that trash earlier in the day, just as a subtle reminder as I'm not the one to be played with and you can be touched. And so you have been touched. Either way, that has been episode 19. We got one more episode before the season finale. I want to wrap it up, y'all. I really wish we had figured out like this episode who did it so we can wrap everything else up very nicely for the end of the season, but that's not how TV land works. Either way, one more episode and we're done with this thing for another season. Let me know what y'all think about the episode. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.